Hello, welcome to Basic Excel Lesson 4, Working with Complex Formulas and Functions. During this lesson, we will be discussing more functions, as well as general information on functions. The final category that we will examine in this session is under More Functions. You can see that there are still several categories, including statistical and engineering functions, that are listed under More. For this final session of the course, we will take a quick look at two information functions. Sometimes when you work with numbers, even though the items appear to be numbers or values, they may actually be formatted as text. Two functions that may help you to determine whether you have a number or text can be helpful for these situations. For example, a phone number may actually be formatted as text and won't always work like a number would work. The isNumber function returns a logical value of true if the value is a number. Otherwise, it returns false. Likewise, isText returns the logical value of true if what you are looking at is text. Otherwise, it returns false. The argument is the value that you want tested. So let's take a look at some examples. We have here several different items in this first column. Some of them are text and some of them are numbers. When we use the isNumber function, you can look down and see that the words are returning as false and the number items are returning as true. The same is true in the isText column, with the words returning as true, the items formatted as text coming back as true, and the items coming back as numbers or that are not formatted as text are coming back as false. Now when we look at the bottom item, we can see that region 1, even though it has a word and a number in it, is actually coming back as text because that is how it is actually formatted. In general, let's talk a little bit about functions. Once you get familiar with how to use functions, you may want to take a look at the many available functions. Because of the types of things that you may work with, you will likely focus your learning on only a few of the available function libraries. That's partly why they are arranged in these groupings, to help you focus on specific functions that may be of more interest to you and the types of things that you do. If you want to learn more about a specific function, simply select a cell in which the function appears, or launch the function wizard for that function. If you follow the link, the Help on this function link, you will get more information on the function and an explanation for each of the arguments necessary to complete that function. This is what you should use to expand your knowledge and learn more about the functions that you use. You can also use the F1 key to search online to get more help, more information on various functions. Keep in mind that related functions will be grouped together in the same library and will have the same root words. For example, sum and if in SUMIF, which fall under the math and trig category. There's actually a whole grouping of different sum functions. Anytime you see several functions using the same root word as part of its name, you can likely assume that those functions are related and may want to look to see if there is a different version of that function that may better fit your needs. You might also note that there is a recently used function category. Excel keeps track of the functions that you've used most recently. If you use only a limited number of functions, particularly if they are from different categories, it may be faster for you to use the recently used functions listing to pull up those functions. Well, this is all for our lesson on working with complex functions and formulas. If you would like to look more closely at these examples used throughout this section, the database will be available, with these formulas included, will be available in the class resources section. I encourage you to take a closer look at these formulas and try them in your own work if you can. Pick out the one or two that seem the most relevant to you and master them before you learn more. The best way to master any formula is simply to use it. You can always make a copy of a worksheet and use that as your laboratory to experiment in. I caution you to never experiment in your actual data unless you have first copied your data into a new workbook. That way you can try out new formulas and functions, and if they don't work, you haven't permanently damaged your data. Don't forget to take the quiz on the items covered during Lesson 4. If you have questions, contact your instructor. This is the final lesson of Basic Excel. When you feel that you're ready, you may begin the Intermediate Excel course.